I like the movies. I've read the books, but um, Lord of the Rings to me is something that I shared with my dad. He would actually read all of Tolkien's books over the course of the year, over and over and over again. And I knew him pretty well. I thought Peter Jackson's movies were great, even The Hobbit, which was actually my favorite story. But um, Star Wars was my thing, and he understood that. When we finally got VHS of Star Wars, and I have that actual VHS somewhere, he finally sat down to watch it with me, and he loved it, and he thought Han Solo was cool, and he actually thought it was better than Star Trek, and he is a huge he was a huge William Shatner slash uh, Captain Kirk fan, so I was pretty pleased with that. Anyway, want to talk about what I was talking about before. So we get Kristen Baver, who's the does the Star Wars channel YouTube thing. She's the red haired cat lady, and she also edits and works on articles for StarWars.com. So she's part of the story group. She posted this picture of Luke's temple being built by the androids, and then used a picture from TLJ saying it looked to be the same temple. Well, today a subscriber of mine discovered that it wasn't even looked the same place at all. So again, this is what I think she did. It was the day before the Book of Boba Fett's. Hey Carlos, the Book of Boba Fett's last episode. The story group thought Harrison Ford was going to be in it, and it was going to be like the momentous moment that Luke's was. And Doomcock had posted stuff like that. This last episode was frankly terrible, and they were scrambling up to the last minute to save it. And when you watch it, you can see why. But I think what happened was the story group said, put this up there to take away people's attention from this, which is what she did. Because she is up in San Francisco, where all the fucked up people are, like Pablo and the rest. And of course she's going to do that. Okay. She put it up there. Then Pablo gets on and denies, without denying it, that he no longer works at Lucasfilm. He didn't address the rumors. He didn't say that the rumors weren't true. So I'm like, sure. Which is why I've got Audit on this, because I need some help. Hey, Chris. It's very, very, very obvious that all that was timed to ruin the fans' perception of what we were going to see. They didn't have to do it either. Okay, they didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to post it. Now I know for a fact this was odd. This was timing. Okay, timed to ruin the last episode for no reason at all. They didn't have to do it. So that's what I think happened. Okay, and it's gotten me thinking a lot. Now, Doomcock just dropped a video, open letter to Disney, making demands that this stuff has got to stop. Literally making a giant mountain over a molehill. Yes, the show wasn't great. Yes, Grogu got the armor. Yes, he went with Din. It's all part of the marketing, and it doesn't mean we're getting the sequel trilogy. Please come off the ledge. Doomcock, if you're watching, I beg you, stop it. Please start thinking, okay? Start going, it doesn't make any sense to do that. There's no money in it. Okay? Yeah, I mean, really, we got to get him to stop. All right, his sci-fi universe, because I'm afraid it's going to hurt him. I'm afraid for him because he's so emotional about this. And I'm like, you know, I had my freak out, then I cried, then I slept about 7 hours straight, and then I woke up and I was like, I felt better. All right. Um, because there's nothing to freak out about. When I watch a show, I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't great, but I didn't see anything that said sequel trilogy. And if you think the kid taking the armor means that, I don't know what you're smoking. I really, really don't. It doesn't mean that at all. So please, please, God, help my friend to see this is not the place we're not in the place he thinks we're at. Okay? You know, he doesn't understand how this is working. And he won't he won't listen. He won't. I think it is too, and I think he probably needs to step back a little bit. But he really needs to take a back view. Um, you know, when you've got Disney really doing well right now, they were up, I think they're up now over 10 points from Tuesday. I mean, the stocks are going well right now. And there's absolutely no reason now. I mean, what, they canceled that Beauty and the Beast sequel travesty, where we were all getting to see how bad it was for LeFou to be a homo. Okay, great. You know, awesome. you know, um, well, yeah, and I think that he needs to understand that he's even said it's going to take. He's even, you know, he's even said this is gonna take some time. Now the reason why in my articles on LinkedIn said they need to go public is so stuff like this doesn't happen anymore. Okay? And it takes away the narrative from and, 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 you know, they don't have anything to talk about. The misery channels will not be able to attack Lucasfilm or Disney if those people are gone. All right? Like, it's obvious that John and Dave have a cabal of bottom feeding, scum sucking cultural Taliban that are attacking them. Okay? It's obvious by seeing that, you know, it's obvious just seeing that little blurb that was timed. All right? I am not stupid. Okay? Unlike, you know, not Miss Baver. I've read Clausewitz in German. I've read Sun Tzu. I've read Machiavelli. Okay? I know what's going on. Okay? I know what they're doing. Okay? And what it does, even if I don't, you know, I think the clever people do. I think Pablo knows. In one of his tweets, he basically said, and I've got it on my upload, that the people who know why the majority of the people who know why this uh, account exists, know why it exists or something like that. I can't even, I mean, he's doing it to indirectly hurt Dave and John and to put out there that he knows more about Star Wars than, yeah, well, she is a liability. So why don't they just say, Why doesn't she just say you need to resign? What are we waiting for? I mean, or at least make it public that KK is leaving, either at the end of this contract or, the middle of it or whenever. But the idea that we have to sit around and wait till what, 2025 for this, for any resolution? Sure, Disney's making money, but the investors are going to go, why isn't Lucasfilm? Lucasfilm is in the red. You ask any financial analyst that understands gross box office versus net box office, what costs really are to a film. You know, ask a question. Does anybody out there believe that any movie really makes a lot of money? They don't. They really, really don't. People go out there to make movies, to put money in their pocket. But as far as pure profit, it doesn't exist, okay? I even know that. I'm not in the business, but I do enough checking around with people who are. One of my friends ran Asylum. Their best movies were only shot and marketed and produced for about $325,000. Okay? Think about that. Think about it. You got, Lucasfilm making movies for $225 million and then suddenly having to reshoot 80%, which means that movie was close to $400 million or $450 million by the time production costs were added up, okay? Then you add the marketing in, okay? Then you add, I'm talking about Solo, then you add what the box office was, and then you take all of what I just said, plus theater take, big goose egg, like to the tune of about $250 million, okay? I know that. I'm a retard when it comes to numbers. I completely admit it, but I know that. I mean, I can read, my portfolio and see where I'm gains and losses. I can see why we're beating the market here, but we're not there. It doesn't take a genius to be able to do that. You have to have an eye for detail. Okay, you have to have an eye for detail. And the thing, like with Baver posting that, it's not the same place. It could be the same planet, but it's not the same place, which leads me to believe it is not the same planet. I'm telling you right now, all right? But all of it was timing, designed to hurt Hidalgo in the story group and all the, critical race theory, BLM, masturbating, Antifa masturbating assholes were afraid of. That Harrison Ford would show up in all of his glory and the internet would break, just like it did with Hamill, okay? It didn't happen. Now, to the people who say, where's Harrison? He doesn't know where he is. Well, fuck you. How's that? Second of all, likely because the show wasn't up to snuff for John and Dave, they cut that out. They didn't want to ruin that entrance, okay? I mean, as far as I can see, the Luke Skywalker entrance in episode 16 was one of the greatest moments in film, TV, streaming history. All right? It was. It was. Okay? So, what we've got here, okay, what we've got going on here is timing. They knew what they were doing. They basically turned the laser pointer on, and everybody jumped at it, including friends of mine who I thought had a better grip on reality, okay? And no, I would say that if the board wants her out, it's only a matter of time, regardless of her contract. If I were them, I'd just say, we're paying you up front, go away. But here's what I was saying in those articles. They need to say we are going away from the sequel trilogy. Out of costs, out of what the fans are demanding. We are bringing in things. The sequel trilogy is still going to be there for the fans that like it, but we're going in a new direction right now. And be very honest, it was a failure. Okay, stop pretending everybody liked it. Okay, I mean, it's like the Emperor has no clothes. Yeah, that's a beautiful ensemble. Holy shit, you know. Um, this is following the sequel trilogy is financially untenable. It is financially unfeasible to do it. Okay, look at how good their earnings report was. Okay, I think part of it was because people wanted to see the Book of Boba Fett. People were having like, oh my God, this is gonna be so great. It wasn't great. We have the Samba stuff coming out, but I bet you Boba Fett beat out, and just like that, I bet you it did. I'll bet you $1,000 it did. I mean, that, and just like that, was an atrocious insult to Sex and the City. And it's very easy for me to say that. Do I think it'll be renewed? Well, I don't think HBO Max can afford it. And especially with Discovery Channel coming in, because I didn't tell you guys this, Justice Department just okayed that merger, okay? And the guy coming in, Zaslav, will not tolerate the kind of stuff that customers are doing this to. He's very used to putting stuff out there that people want to see. Bigfoot hunting, ghost hunting, doing the Food Network, Cooking Network. This, I think they own the Sci-Fi Channel. People want to see fun stuff. They don't want to be preached to. And part of the problem with Kennedy's and Lucasfilm is the fact that it's the people that are on the opposite side are activists. They don't. Pablo Hidalgo. I want to tell you something. I just went and looked at his profile again. No Lucasfilm at all. But he's got his BLM shit, his Antifa shit. Where is his work? Okay, I thought he was proud of his work. He's more proud to put his ideology, which is left-wing fascist bullshit, racist on the BLM shit. Okay, let me tell you something. Black people can be just as racist as against whites. That is wrong, okay? A person who approaches people for their content of character, who doesn't see race like me, is not a bigot. The people who insist that white men have to take a seat are racists. They're bigots. And I'm going to say this, they're Nazis, okay? I don't care what they think. That's what they are, okay? You're in my ballywick when you start talking about this shit, because I have studied it, all right? I got my bachelor's degree studying it. I've written papers on it, okay? So don't tell me, anybody in my chat, or Doomcock, or Valiant Renegade, or any of my friends, the guys at Midnight's Edge, that they're racists, okay? Or that they're misogynists. How could I be a misogynist? I have breasts, I'm a girl, so what the fuck is your problem? All right? And don't come up with this delusional attitude of suppressed misogyny that doesn't exist. It's never existed in my life. I've had people, I've had guys kick my, try to condescend to me when we're talking guns, movies, horses, books, politics. Usually the guys that condescend to me on politics are left-wing, misogynistic, uh, feminazi assholes like my brother-in-law, who are not alphas by any means. I mean, let me put it this way. A man who cheats on his wife, well, I'll use Bill Clinton as an example, who has to charm and cavort with every young woman he sees because it makes him look like more of a man, is a beta male twat, okay? All right? Jason Ward, grooming underage girls, beta male. Do we have to go on? No, we don't. And that's true, okay? A man who cares about women and treating women well doesn't have to say it. He does it, okay? Again, actions speak louder than words, okay? All right? And when I looked at what Baver did and Pablo's, trolling, bullshit, I was like, this is all timing. Again, they thought Harrison Ford, the alpha male, the bad. I mean, there's a great interview with him and Jon Favreau after doing. It was a publicity thing for Cowboys and Aliens, and they get along. I mean, Harrison was so completely comfortable in that setting, and it was so just awesome to see. He really likes John, okay, which is a great thing. They get along. And Jon Favreau is just the nicest, coolest guy on the planet, okay? It was like I was watching, like two people like this. This is the thing that makes you feel good when you see people like Jon Favreau now in charge of all this shit, okay? All right? He's a very passionate guy, but when you hear about him, everybody that's ever met him said he's great. He stood and talked about movies and food with them for like an hour. I'm like, and I would not be intimidated to meet him. All right, he seems to me that he meets people on just on the level of being a human being, and it was just a great video. So if I remember, I'll put a link in the description because I think you guys will really like it. And Ford was just as pleasant and happy to talk to him. I mean, one of the things that was funny is that he's a really good horseman. All right. And he knows what to look for. He bought the horse he rode in that. And then he bought Daniel Craig's horse. Craig wasn't happy. Hey, you stole my horse, Really funny, but I'm not worried about John. I think his affability belies a very tough man. Okay? You see a very nice guy, he's a very nice guy. But don't fuck with him. Okay? And I think we're seeing some of that now. But let's talk more about. All right, so we got the timing, we got, Pablo doing this. They honestly thought Harrison Ford was going to be in this. And it was going to be more of an obvious thing that John was on his way to retconning and erasing the sequel trilogy. Because they have to. There's no money in it. Okay, there just isn't any money in it. And, a lot of people like to disagree with that. But here's the deal, okay? If there's no money in something, and there's money in doing something different. I mean, he has said, Jon Favreau himself said, I'm going back and using the EU. I would think people's ears would have pricked up. Okay? In through one ear, rattle around, out the other. Like, you know, um, and again, I blame the big fan channels. Uh, and again, uh, they get triggered by, the behavior of the story group. Okay. When we honestly thought, I mean, that Pablo was for sure gone, you know, uh, Geeks and Gamers came out and said, we don't care, and pushed the goalpost back just exactly the way I predicted they would. And we don't really know if he's gone or not. You know, I mean, he came in as a contractor, okay, as a consultant. Do you remember me telling you about his Wikipedia page? It's all there. And I say he could be doing that now, all right? But him, mocking people and putting it up there saying, well, you can put anything you want. You can. You're right. You're right. But you took down one of the things that you're most proud of and you left up your ideology. Okay? Why? So, well, I think, you know, again, I think people, even Doomcock, were manipulated by all this shit. Okay? I think they were being manipulated by all of it. Okay? They're not listening to people that they talk to. All right? I get people telling me from inside saying, we're winning. Don't let it get you down. We're winning. And it's very interesting to me watching all this go on, uh, how badly the fandom needs a major victory. First off, like I said, I put those 2 articles on LinkedIn and tag that um, Susan Arnold, her name. I also tagged Pablo Hidalgo, Lucasfilm, Disney. If you hit the tag Lucasfilm, you'll probably see both articles. And it was basically a rundown, not in heavy detail, of everything that's happened. I mean, let's say like he suddenly woke up the morning after he berated the fans in that tweet uh, about Star Wars theory, and he was suddenly had a vision of Jesus saying, Pablo, Pablo, why do you persecute me? And um, and then he turned out to be St. Paul. And he started like trying to make amends and everything. I'm sorry, but it's way too late for that. Okay? And the damage he has done to the brand is set in stone. People see him, they see the face of Lucasfilm. Okay? Just like, a Capitol Hill staffer berating a constituent. That gets out everywhere. Okay? Suddenly, the face of the office is you because you behaved unprofessionally. You're going to get fired. Okay, period. People are going to have their feathers smoothed. Um, it happens. Okay. And Lucasfilm is one of the few companies I know that allow this to continue, even subtly, which is what Pablo's doing with his public account. He's indirectly still insulting us. Okay. Read between the lines. It's there. Okay. And, he's got to go. The story group has to be disbanded. and it has to be done publicly. The only person I would keep from the story group who has been a professional from day one is Leland Chi. Okay? All right? And I would tell him, we're getting rid of the sequel trilogy. Okay? It's not working, it's not financially feasible. And it doesn't work. It's not Star Wars. I mean, he wasn't present at the meeting with the whiteboard with the activist writers. He wasn't. Pablo was. Picture right there, next to Claudia the Dyke Gray. Who isn't, but it's like, you have a boyfriend? How does that work? It just, it's one of those things where you're sitting there going, I guess there's somebody for everybody, but holy shit. Okay. Charles Soule is obviously gay. Kevin Scott is. Then you got Justina Ireland. Who's a CRT, BLM, racist, anti-white bigot. You had Rebecca Roanhorse, who's a she's a whitey hating bigot. JK, whatever her name is, or GK Johnson, who's a feminazi. On and on and on and on. I mean, cat ladies and, angry, sexually repressed, straight women who don't like being women. Okay, they don't like it, so they shit on men and make themselves completely unattractive because they're terrified of sex, which is exactly what that is. I mean, you look at, but they like to talk about it. They like to talk about everybody else's. When you opened up into the darkness and you find out there's a celibate gay pilot who looks like Matthew McConaughey, an Iraq navigator named Geode, who doesn't move unless you're not looking at him. It's like, the person who's obsessed with sex is the person who wrote this. What have I said? If you want to know something about the artist, look at their art. The creative, look at that creation. Okay. J.J. Abrams, a hack. Obviously. Can't finish anything. Doesn't understand any of the big franchises that he's ground into the ground. Rian Johnson, self-absorbed, narcissistic, angry guy who finally got to give the shiv to Luke Skywalker, which I'm going to use a psychological analogy, who represented all the guys who never let him take part. And the same thing, and they're doing it. They do it over and over to Han. Okay, bad white man, bad straight white alpha male, bad. All right, that's why they got these jobs. Okay, is the High Republic doing well? No, it's not. It's not doing well at all, and we all know that. Okay, I perfectly am happy to see it show up at Ollie's in the book department so I can laugh my ass off and take videos. Okay, it's true. Did the merchandise for The Last Jedi TFA sell? No. You guys saw the TFA raise and saw the TFA TLJ raise. You saw the Janna figure that didn't sell. You saw, the mile high stack of Solo, a Star Wars story playsets that didn't sell. And yet, it's really funny. When Valiant and Cameron today on their video were talking about who watches Disney Plus, 50% of the people that watch Disney Plus are adults. Okay, 30% of the viewers watch the franchises, MCU and Star Wars. I would tell you this, that Star Wars, people who watch it are adults, mostly, okay, and their kids, all right? So when Pablo goes, it's just for 12-year-olds, just for kids. Yeah, it is. It is. But their parents watch it too because they're fans too. And that's just fine, okay? This is where they got it wrong. This is where Iger got it wrong. And doing these young people's books, they're not selling because they're not going to read it. They're not, look, you want kids to read? Don't write shit like that. I guarantee you, I was looking through the young adult novels and the kids' books at Target the other day, and there's a beautiful pony book with a horse on the cover. And I looked it up. It is beating the High Republic by a lot. You know, because it very much is a kid's book. No agenda. It's just you know, the usual horse book for a child is there's a horse the little girl wants and she goes and takes care of it. You know, and she ends up having a horse. I mean, and there were young adult books like that too. I remember one called Pounding Hooves. It's about this girl who sees this beautiful Arabian red chestnut with a white blonde mane and tail out in a field and absolutely fell in love with this horse. Beautiful mare. So she goes and makes friends with the farmer, and the guy lets her, you know, hang out with the horse. She makes friends, and the horse is very skittish and very distrustful. And they get through all the thing. They pretty much have a when you have a horse, you don't have a horse. You have a relationship. Okay? It's just like a dog. Right, Kojak? And it's a friendship. There's a bond there. And it's very you know, sometimes it's difficult to do, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes the horse is open, sometimes you gotta work to get their trust. But once you do, you got it for the rest of their lives. Like me and Kay, I can go days without seeing her, and when I drive up, she's standing in the front of her stall or standing by the gate with a look of "Mommy's here" on her face. Yeah, sci-fi universe is right. I would leave. So anyway, story goes on, and there's a girl in her high school that really treats this girl like shit, and they like the same guy. Okay, and the guy's their friend and all the rest of the stuff. But at the end, the girl gets the horse, and the horse doesn't like her. Okay, again, horses, no, they're like dogs, and the mare throws her, throws the popular girl. They end up trading because the girl, the protagonist, ends up getting another horse, and they end up trading. She ends up trading her quiet mare for the other horse. Okay, and that was the end of it. But that's a horse story. That's a horse book. Okay, that sells better than, you know, Justina Ireland's White Man Bad rants or Daniel Jose Older's white man batarangs, you know, shitting all over Han Solo in Last Shot. Um, you know, Daniel Jose Older is one of those. I mean, he only started as an EMT. Would you want to need emergency help and have that guy walk up? No, no. Why? He's an incompetent writer. How well do you think he actually could take care of a sick person? I mean, or a person that needed help. Anyway, but this is what I want to talk about, and it's about trying to find out for real what's going on with Pablo. Okay, there is a program that's for free. You can, you have to have a Twitter account, and I don't have one. But you can audit people's Twitter accounts to find out how many are fake followers. Okay, if Pablo had access to bots, fake followers that he could use and manipulate to get TLJ trending or something, it's going to show up on that audit. We discovered like Ryan Johnson had like, 50%, fake followers. Okay. That was a long time ago, but you know what I'm saying? So if anybody wants to do an audit, all you gotta do is find it. I think it's free Twitter audit or something like that. And it's for free. Okay. You don't, and if don't, I would use a free thing and then just leave it. But we could figure out a lot of stuff if we knew that. Okay, if we could extrapolate that information. You know, it's very interesting to me that watching all this, that well, he's Schrodinger's cat. So is she. Okay, let me explain something. If I had Susan Arnold right here, I'd say you have to go public with what's going on so the fans know. First off, keeping people speculating and off balance hurts Star Wars. Okay? It hurts Star Wars. All right? Does it not? Put a 1 in the chat if you think it actually hurts the brand. Look at what it's doing to Doomcock. He has gone a 180 on his attitude, all because of a stupid TV show. I don't know who Kevin Trevor is. They need to bring back Rick McCallum. And it hurts the fandom to keep people. I mean, look at what goes on. I mean, Cameron tries to explain to people rationally why it can't lead to the sequel trilogy, and Tom doesn't listen. Doomcock doesn't listen. Nobody listens. When it's obvious from a financial point of view, they can't do it. Okay? They can't. And Jon Favreau doesn't want it anyway. All right? And I want to say this to Doomcock. If you're listening, if you are, this whole thing isn't about what you want. It's about what the fans want. Okay? We want Kennedy gone. We want the story group booted and Pablo and it being public so we know it happened. Okay? We want to be free of the constant negative barrage of G&G, Nerdrotic, RK Outpost, Anna, and the rest of that angry, nonsense with no discussion. All right? We're being held hostage. Our voices aren't being heard because they own the narrative. Okay? And we're caught in the middle between these assholes over here and these people over here. Okay, our voices are lost. All right, we have got to be rational. Okay, we cannot go off anymore. Okay, we've got to give people like Cameron and Valiant Renegade and Mike and all these other people the opportunity to speak, and we have to listen to them because they know what they're talking about. They know far better than the other people. Okay, all right, there is no money in the sequel trilogy. Disney knows that. They're very happy to make money. The parks are starting to come back. Um, you know, they're streaming. I don't have any respect for him because he did something shitty to me and a friend of mine. And as far as I'm concerned, he is not allowed anywhere near my channel. He treats people like shit. Okay, and he did that even before. And I don't, you know, he's not. I mean, he used to love TLJ until he found out everybody hated it, and now he hates it too. Just like somebody who's salty is a Raylo till he found out that he could actually get more attention by hating it. Okay? People who do that are not genuine. Okay? And they're doing it for cachet. They're doing it for AdSense. They're doing it so they can clobber everybody else over the head and silence us. Okay? You know, they canceled me. Okay? They don't, you know, I was actually supposed to be part of that group. But I'm glad I never was. There was a door that shut, and I was glad because there isn't any intellectual debate there. They don't talk about the money aspects. They don't talk about what the deeper meaning of what we're watching and talking about really means. He doesn't know shit about Star Wars. So he goes to RK Outpost, who is not exactly George Lucas, okay? You know, I always tell people, if you really want to know, don't ask me, look it up yourself, okay? And I'm like, you know, and they don't watch The Mandalorian. They don't watch the Book of Boba Fett. Because, I mean, hell, they could have, all right, here's the deal, it's Friday. In about an hour or so, we could get the message that Kathleen Kennedy has announced her resignation as Indy 5 wraps. Okay? Celebrations will be handed out. And you want to know what they'll do? They'll say, Disney Star Wars sucks. We don't care. Goalposts moved again. They're not honest. Okay? They're not who they say they are. They don't care. Okay? And to the people who are all upset about TLJ, you know, look, the sequel trilogy has to go, not just TLJ, all of it. Okay? If you honestly think that TLJ was worse than TFA, you're wrong. Okay? You're wrong. When you look at what JJ did, not only to Han and Leia, but to Luke, you think that, you know, Rian Johnson just pulled all the bullshit out of his ass? No, he didn't. They were talking. You know, JJ can say he hated TLJ all he wants. He's also known to be a liar. When Colin Trevorrow insisted he needed Luke Skywalker alive to make his story work, he had to leave. Okay, JJ did not do a good job at TFA. It was a shitty movie. It was a shitty movie that made a lot of money because of this one moment. Chewie, we're home. And everybody's like, you know, that's why it made that money. It didn't make that money because it was better than TLJ. All right? And the reason why TLJ only made 1.3 billion isn't just because TLJ sucked. It's because of TFA. And The Rise of Skywalker didn't just make barely $1 billion because TLJ sucked. It barely made $1 billion because the entire sequel trilogy sucks. And the fans didn't want to witness the bullshit anymore. Okay? And they just didn't go. Or they got it, they went to the high seas and watched and said it was pathetic and walked away. I mean, you know, and, you know, they learned a bitter lesson about trying to replace actors like Harrison Ford when awful Aaron Yuck got the role of Han. You can't just replace that man with anybody. And some actors are irreplaceable. Deep faking might be the only way to go with this, okay? Billy Lord has no problem deep faking her mom. Harrison Ford apparently doesn't have any problem with that either. Okay, he probably's like, you can make me look younger. Oh, great, you know. So, you know, deep faking kills the controversy about the actor. Okay, it also is consistent, which is fantastic. Okay, so that's why that works, and that's why the sequel trilogy is so terrible. Okay, that's why. All right, and the idea that they'll never get rid of it, or like, what was it? Script doctor, I think, said they won't get rid of it in our lifetime. Yeah, they will. Disney needs money now. You know, that's exactly what I was getting to, Joker voice. So, you know, I would like to have someone audit Pablo's account if Twitter's up again, but I heard it was down. It's only selling, I love it. They say they added a bunch of new subscribers. It's only selling at like $36 today. Elon Musk could buy it and then shut it down, which would be hysterically funny. Why? Where would Pablo go? You know, where would Pablo go? No, he's talking about the sequel trilogy. So, in the end, we have got to stop allowing people to tell us what to think. And we have to stop allowing friends of ours to go over the edge of the cliff, like Doomcock right now. You know, I don't think, let me put it this way. You can be hurt by TLJ all you want, but I guarantee you I was probably hurt more by TFA. All right. You know, all right. So to the people who scream and rant about TLJ, no, it's not about you. And it's not about how you feel. It's about getting the franchise back on its feet. And that means Kennedy leaving. That means the story group disbanded and gone. And that means Pablo publicly fired in the trades. Okay? That means the sequel trilogy is announced to be in an alternate universe. Okay? So Favreau can have complete freedom to do what he wants and do what he has to. And it takes away from, it takes away the narrative from those big channels. They won't be able to sit there and talk about this anymore. They'll probably move the goalpost and then shit all over Jon Favreau, which is unfair. Okay? But I wouldn't expect anything less from Jeremy and the rest of them. I really, really wouldn't. And that's what has to happen, right? That's what has to happen. And until it does, guys, we're gonna be sitting here trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. All right, and that's not fair to the fans. That's not fair to those of us who don't have a loud enough voice. Is it? And I think that those big channels need a come to Jesus moment with all this. And I think the only way that Disney can do that is to fire Pablo first and put it out there that that I put it out there that this is why we let Mr. Hidalgo go. We're hoping he does well in another field. Other than that, there you go. Well, yeah, and they're wrong. They're not going to get anywhere right now. Chapek is there to stay for a while. You know, Chapek is there to stay. Okay, and they need to just they're hitting their heads on a rock. Okay, with that, and they need to let it go. What else? Again, I'd like to find out just how many bots or fake accounts Pablo has. Oh yeah, and Gina Carano's movie Terror on the Prairie. The teaser on Daily Wire just came out. And it's I mean, my friend Nick Searcy plays the bad guy. So, and I gotta tell him next time I talk to him, you sound just like Robert Duvall in True Grit here. And he did. I mean, I was like, you know, yeah, well, he needs to be a beast at Lucasfilm right now. But again, I think he probably does have somebody in mind to replace, excuse me, to replace Kennedy. And I think they're just trying to figure out a way to get her out of there. And, you know, again, Indy 5 now isn't wrapping till the end of February. Okay? And she's nowhere to be seen. And her husband and her are still in California from what I can tell. You know, I don't really know what's going on here. Okay? I really don't have any idea. And I think they all are, but I don't. You know, again, Chapek didn't go to the parties, so and it's like, you know, it's they need to just the board needs to take action. Okay, they don't have. Oh, that's cool, John. She doesn't have to be there to run Lucasfilm. You know, give her some money and have her resign, but make sure she knows she's leaving now. Okay, and I'm being unreasonable probably, but I look at the fan base and it's like something has to be done, or you could have George Lucas come in and tell the stories that he wants to tell, and you know, add elements of the EU like Jaina and Jason, Mara Jade, and all the rest of it, and the fans would not watch it. Colin Trevorrow is not who they need. I read that script. It was horrible. Again, it's Star Wars. It's the Skywalker saga. Okay? And it wasn't. What he wrote, what he wasn't. Rey was still a fucking nobody. Okay? What does that accomplish? Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Zip. Okay. We didn't go to see the sequel trilogy to see the rise of Palpatine or the rise of whoever she was supposed to be. Okay? Fuck that shit. Okay? Alright? And that was the problem with that. It was marginally better than the rise of Skywalker, but it really wasn't as good as people want to pretend. Yeah, and he didn't fix it. He didn't fix it. Okay? You can't fix that sequel trilogy without making Rey either Muleface's sister or Luke's daughter. Okay? And mostly Muleface's daughter. So, mostly she should have been Han and Leia's lost daughter. Okay? And that would have, I would have given it a pass then. Okay? But they couldn't do that. They couldn't give Han something. They couldn't give a sense of nobility to him. All right? They couldn't do it. I've had people, who had never read the original, his origin story, tell me he was a drug addict and a bad person. And I'm like, and these are supposed to be liberals who think everybody can be redeemed. I'm like, well, I mean, okay. Anyway, look, I gotta go. I gotta see what's going on here. I got messages and stuff. So if one of you guys want to go and see if you can audit that Hidalgo's public account, I would be mostly appreciative. Okay? It's very easy. You get the program, you put that account name on, but you need a Twitter account, and I don't have one. Anyway, I'll see you guys around the galaxy, and I'll see you in Doomcock's chat tonight. Good night.